Hello, you're watching World Talks on TVP World. My name is Sasha Farbach. We will not let the deal go any further, said Polish Agriculture Minister Stefan Krajewski, capturing the frustration felt by farmers and some politicians over the EU-Mercosur trade agreement. Now, from tractors blocking the streets of Paris to legal challenges in Brussels, the deal has stirred intense debate across Europe, with France, Poland, Austria, Ireland and Hungary voicing strong opposition. At the same time, the European Commission is pushing reforms to support farmers, simplify rules and safeguard food security. Now, against this backdrop of protests in politics and policy, our guest is Jean-Victor Maublanc, lecturer of public law at the University of Poitiers, specializing in agricultural and food law. Good to have you with us here in the studio.
Thank you very much. Thank you for inviting me.
A pleasure. So with the protests, we've seen this over the past months of years, really. Farmers have not been happy. Now this deal has been done. The challenges by the farmers in particular, do you see their concerns as justified?
Well, the question is quite difficult because we have to put the question in a longer time. There were problems that were very old in the construction of the European Union regarding the common agricultural policy. And we can't just see the situation through the Mercosur situation for the very, very narrow view. We have to think open-mindedly. And regarding the agricultural problems, I guess we have to go back to the 1760s because there were kind of a particular model of agriculture we built, and actually it's not anymore useful, and we can't use it anymore. And especially regarding my point of view, one of the big problems is we tend to dissociate the economical aspects and the environmental aspects. And actually, what's going on right now is that we're looking at the economical aspects, but we totally forget what was supposed to be the goal of the new common agricultural policy, which is actually the environment. And this is totally neglected, and this is something that I'm very sorry, because it looks like we're going back in the time, and it's not what we were supposed to do 5 or 6 years ago.
So it's interesting because we've been hearing a lot that the farmers are complaining, are concerned that these imports from South American countries would then flood the markets. But the environmental concern seems to be then that this is unaddressed. So what are those environmental concerns that the farmers have, and how are they now going to have that heard, really?
Yeah. You talk about the Mercosur. One of the things we very much hear in France, but I guess it's the very same thing in Poland, and it's the same thing in the other countries. We tend to think that the problem is mainly an economical problem, and that we will be totally submerged by the products of such South America countries. But the thing is, it's not that simple. You talked about it before. The European Union tried to put some emergency brakes to stop, to prevent the risk that will be totally submerged by such products. But actually, from an economical point of view, my personal opinion is that it's not sufficient. We don't have enough certitudes that we won't be totally dependent on such markets. I pretty well understand that we try to limit our dependency to China, but anyway, that's not this simple. There are this, what we call the safeguards, safety clauses, and the European Union said it was the good solution to avoid the pesticides to come to Europe. But actually, when you look at the World Trade Organization, there are so many rules that we have to respect, so it's not that simple. And on the other side, after this economic point of view, for the environment, many agricultural and farmers, they tend to think that the problem comes from the environmental laws. But actually, when you look at the law, just the legal aspects, the main problem is the way we can implement, that we can control the law. One big question in France is the access to water for the farmers. And we say that we have to facilitate the constructions of big places where you can store water for the agricultural world. But actually, the main problem isn't to build this kind of structures. It's to respect the law regarding the common agricultural policy regarding water. There are not enough controls, and we tend to stop the controls. So there is some very weird way of doing things, because we tend to focus on one aspect of the problem, and we totally elude the other part of the problem, which is, I tend to think of it as a main problem right now. It's the environmental law regarding the agri-food system. And this is something we don't have the answers. And I guess, from my point of view, many farmers are misleading, trying to focus on the economical things and not seeing that there are other problems that might be a problem of the system. The system as a whole, and not just this very little chops situation.
You mentioned also in terms of these safeguards, this emergency brake that some European Union, well, I mean, all of the member states really have access to. It's supposed to be unilateral in its activation. Those kind of, let's say, thresholds of when certain goods come at a certain level, which has been reduced again, to help the farmers agree to it. You're saying that they're not enough, but at the same time, there are estimates that the actual imports from South America in terms of, if we're looking at agriculture, will be around less than 2%. So is that, who is telling the truth here? You said there would be an inundation. Are these estimates wrong? How do you see that play out?
Well, in the Mercosur agreements, what we're talking about, there are several breaks that are trying to stop from such an import situation that we can have. And one of them is to put quotas of importation products for some foods. And the one you're talking about, I guess it's what you're saying. It's there is a 1.5% about the beef meat that we can't import in Europe. But the thing is, I'm not very sure it's good news because actually, even if there is just 1.5%, there will be a change in the price of the final products, and this is something we just can't we can't foresee. We can't right now tell what's going to be the impact on the meat, even if the meat is produced in Europe. There will be an impact on the price. And another problem I see is that one of the compensation that we got to get the agreement is the fertilizers. There are some changes that are going to about the fertilizers. We are going to lower the tariffs on fertilizers, and we're going to suspend what we call the CBAM, which is the carbon mechanism to adjust the law regarding the import of products in Europe. And these are two bad news. Once again, we are trying to focus on the economical aspect, and we totally forget the environment because we lower the rules regarding the environment. And if I was a farmer, I would be kind of surprised. And there is no, what we call, from a legal point of view, there is no legal security. Okay. We talk about food security, but not legal security.
Let's talk about legal security for a moment, that operative word here, just briefly. One of the things also mirrored by the Polish agriculture minister is that we will not let this deal, meaning Mercosur, go any further. Looking at also what's trying to be done, stopping it in the European Parliament, bringing it to some way to the European Court of Justice. How realistic is that? Just briefly tell us what the case is and how successful it could be.
It's the very same problem we have in France. Our agricultural minister, Annie Girardin, said that we are going to stop the agreement because there are several steps that we can take into concern, and you can sign the agreement, but you then have to take what we call the ratification, and then you can control the agreement. The thing is, from my point of view, there is no chance that the agreement won't come into force. I'm not a specialist about seeing the future and telling you the future, but my point of view is that since there is too many countries that are for these agreements, especially the role of Italy, which changed its mind because of reasons that aren't linked to the agricultural policy. It's just another point of view. All the countries led by Germany, they are so politically powerful right now that it's very difficult to be against the agreement. And one of the consequences will be for the countries that are against the agreement, even if legally it's difficult for them, it's not possible difficult, as my point of view, to say no. It will be difficult juridically, but politically, there might be some retortion measures on an economical point of view and political point of view, especially for France.
So it's not only geopolitics, it's also environmental concerns. So it's going to be interesting to see how that shapes this whole dialogue. Look, thank you so much, Jean-Victor Maublanc from the University of Poitiers. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
And thank you for joining us here on World Talks. But stay right here on TVP World for more. Goodbye.